Hey, what's up, Haussmaniacs? I'm gonna talk about your favorite wrestler from the Marvel Comics, D-Man. Demolition Man, Dennis Dunphy. Went by a lot of names, well, just those three. Demolition Dunphy. Sometime around this date, there's a Marvel Lego special called Demolition something or other. It's gonna be about D-Man, and when else am I gonna get a chance to talk about D-Man? So I went back to do the early evolution of D-Man. I kind of went overboard, so I actually read everything, every appearance of D-Man ever. So today we're getting the entire history of D-Man. It was good to go back and revisit D-Man, because I wasn't sure if I'd ever read a comic with him. Turns out I had, and I probably knew I had, but what do I know about D-Man? Basically, I knew he was like Captain America's partner, and then he was homeless, and he was actually an Avenger that never appeared in the Avengers properly. That's really all I knew about him, but the stuff I didn't know about him is pretty eye-opening. It's not eye-opening, it's unpredictable. He's got an unpredictable journey. There are basically 5 stages of D-Man. Now go down to the comments and see if you can predict the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stages of D-Man. Here's a clue. One of them is homeless, and one of them you won't guess. Anyway, let's take a look at how D-Man came to be, man. Stupid. The Thing, number 28 from 1985. Michael Carlin and Ron Wilson present In This Corner, edited by Mark Grunwald. The Thing has recently joined the Thunder Riders. They were an America-themed motorcycle stunt team in the 80s, and maybe one day I'll get to talk about the Thunder Riders in depth. They actually had their own 12-issue series called Team America. Fuck yeah. Anyway, Ben leaves that team and he's trying to find himself, so he decides to try out for the UCWF. Now this in itself, to me, is an awesome concept, because in the Marvel Universe, like, superpowers aren't an uncommon thing, but not everybody is going to decide to be a hero or a villain. Like, there are examples of people like working normal jobs with superpowers and things like that, but I think professional wrestling would be an awesome outlet for somebody with superpowers. To qualify, there's a minimum weight of 1 ton that needs to be lifted. The Thing easily lifts what looks like 6 tons to me, and then we finally see the future D-Man show up. His look reminds me of the early OMAC designs over in DC, but it's probably just the mohawk. But he lifts the same weight as the Thing and earns his spot. Being the strongest, they are both named as the headliners for the first show, The Thing versus Demolition Dunphy. And Ed Garner, he's the promoter putting it all together. He wants the UCWF to be a success, so he asks Demolition Dunphy to take a dive to make sure the Thing wins. But Dunphy doesn't agree to do it, just yet. Before he can decide for sure, the Thing gets wind of this and says that the UCWF is either legit or I'm not gonna be a part of it. Obviously, the Thing would be a huge draw, so the fight will be a fair one. Demolition Dunphy's excited at the prospect of showing the world what he can do. Ladies and gentlemen, in this corner, all the way from Yancey Street, and the Fantastic Four weighing 500 pounds, the ever-loving Blue-Eyed Thing! And in this corner, from the assembly lines of Detroit, Michigan, weighing 396 pounds, Demolition Dunphy! Starting the match with a grapple between these two behemoths, an Irish whip by the Thing sends Demolition into the titanium cables, but Dunphy bounces back, delivering a crushing double axe handle. The Thing answers back with his own uppercut. Demolition is down, but he's not out. The Thing has gone airborne. Get out of the way! That could have been catastrophic if it connected. Beautiful athleticism shown here by that leapfrog. Dunphy lands a devastating chinlock, but the Thing breaks free with a snapmare takeover. Both men charging at each other now. My God, have you ever heard such a sound? Both competitors are sent back to those unforgiving titanium cables. Oh, this isn't going to end well.
God is my witness! He is broken in half!
The Thing wins! Looking up at the lights, unconscious in the ring, Demolition Dunphy wraps up his first appearance. It's very far from where the character is going to go in the long run, but it is a really good setup for just a character in this series. He was definitely the antagonist of this issue, but he's not the villain. And he shows that he's got integrity, he shows a lot of character, and he starts a rivalry with the Thing. Now, honestly, it kind of felt here like maybe he was just going to show up for the one issue, but we all know better, and he did show up in the very next issue by the same creative team. The Thing is adapting well to his new life as the UCWF champion. He's enjoying being on top and giving interviews, but there is one former wrestling champ out there named Gator Grant who doesn't think much of the Thing. Long story short, he wants a shot at the Thing, but without powers he can't legally compete in the UCWF, so he goes to see a voodoo woman. Later that issue, the Thing finds himself in a 6-way tag match fighting alongside the Blacksmith and Demolition Dunphy. Dunphy's changed his appearance here, opting for blue, which for some reason makes him look less like an OMAC. That doesn't make sense. But when Gator interrupts, breaking up the match, 5 out of the 6 competitors take him on, with Dunphy leading the pack, showing his math strength and his ability to take a punch. But he also does show respect and friendship to the Thing. Gator gets defeated and the issue ends. Over the next few issues, the Thing does wrestle to Beyonder and Van Zastro, and he has a really close call with Godzilla. Yes, this video is not about the Thing, but how can I not mention that stuff? But our boy Demolition Dunphy returns with issue number 33 as ladies join the Unlimited Class Wrestling Federation, and D-Man seems to admire strong women. At this point, Ben actually does ask him where he and all the other guys are getting their power from. Dunphy dodges the question, though it is alluded to be the Power Broker. Something of note in this issue is that several of the ladies that join the league are part of a group called the Grapplers, and Titania, but not that Titania, is actually murdered by the Scourge of the Underworld. In issue number 34, with art now by Paul Neary, shows that Ben and Dunphy are now good friends. As they're sparring in the ring together, the Puppet Master takes control of Demolition Dunphy. The Thing catches on pretty quickly. It ties up his buddy to go deal with the Puppet Master. Once that's all wrapped up and Dunphy is unwrapped, the two even have a heart-to-heart about feelings and share a beer. Issue number 35 shows us that the Thing and Dunphy actually share a hotel room too. And after they cut a promo for TV, the Thing is going after the Power Broker. Now this is actually all because a girl that the Thing likes, Sharon Ventura, is about to go get mixed up in the Power Broker business. Thing doesn't want that. All of this unwanted attention caused the Power Broker to basically put a hit out on Sharon, and he's using all of his clients to pull the trigger. If they don't take Sharon out, then they are cut off from the pills they need to keep their powers, Demolition Dunphy included, but he would sooner go through hell than hurt his friends. He refuses to go along and does get cut off from his pills, going through some excruciating detoxification. And in issue 36, the final issue of The Thing, we see the back of Dunphy's head in a hospital where he said the pills had nothing to do with his powers, and the broker was just giving them all pills so they'd be addicted. And that wraps it up for the first run of Demolition Dunphy, a really decent side character in Thing's whole story as a wrestler. I actually enjoyed this arc quite a bit, and I really enjoyed Dennis Dunphy in it. That could have been it. Would have been a nice little run for the character. He could have faded away into obscurity and never been heard from again. But that wasn't the case. And when he does return, about 10 months later, his character will be changed forever. Forever. Captain America number 328 by Mark Gruenwald and Paul Neary. You may recognize those names as the editor on the Thing series and the last artist on the Thing series, so no strangers to D-Man. In this issue, Captain America is out to take down the Power Broker for his own reasons, and he comes knocking on the UCWF's door. After a fight with several of the wrestlers, old Demolition Dunphy intervenes and he and Cap hit the showers. Though it was Cap's suggestion to hit the showers, this could be some foreshadowing. It's something that forever changed D-Man's character down the road. Probably not, though. While showering, Demo gives us his origin story. He was a really good college football player, but upon graduation, he learned he wasn't good enough to go pro. So he got hooked up with the Power Broker to become stronger. But when he did, he realized very responsibly that he was now too strong for football and could hurt someone. So he started wrestling. And that's that. Dunphy helps Captain America out with any info he can, and then he asks Cap if he wants help with the rest. The Star-Spangled Avenger agrees, and Demolition Dunphy shaves his head and dons a costume he just had lying around, and debuts as Demolition Man.
He doesn't know how to use the 3 seashells.
Or D-Man for short. And yes, he does admit to modeling it off of Daredevil's original costume. Something that I liked seeing here was D-Man testing the strength of his opponents before he would fight them to see how much he could unleash on them. Which actually might be a callback to his fight with Gator Grant, where the Thing was like, dude, regular people can't take those punches. D-Man and Captain America spend a few issues tracking down the Power Broker, and D-Man actually does pretty decent in his inaugural superhero mission, despite winding up in the hospital. Oh, and over the first few issues, his mask did kind of change from being Wolverine-ish to more like the Sphinx or Toyman. Unless you're looking at it right from the side, then it looks like Wolverine. And one time it straight up looked like Batman. And when he fights Battlestar, Battlestar actually thinks he is Wolverine, so I'm probably wrong. Also, during this, Captain America stopped being Captain America, and he didn't have a name for a while. But Captain America through the 80s had this hotline where anybody could phone in and give tips to Captain America that he would use to fight crime. And he actually left this hotline in D-Man's capable hands when he stopped being Captain America. So that's a high level of trust in D-Man, or D-Man was just the only person around at the time. After a couple of months of Steve Rogers being missing, the D-Man decides to call more famous Captain America partners, Nomad and the Falcon, in to help him. They actually function decently as a team, though Nomad really thinks very little of D-Man, and he makes his opinion known. Also, D-Man is shown to put extreme stress on his heart when he really overexerts himself, which I should point out, it was his heart that landed him in the hospital earlier, because the Power Broker overpowered him and his heart kind of exploded. He has a heart condition now, but eventually that won't be a thing. Also, it's established that he's got decent money saved up from his wrestling career, building a great base here for a solid character. The trio finds Steve Rogers, and he decided to continue fighting crime simply as the captain. And do you know who it was that gave Steve Rogers that black and red costume that would go on to be iconic with US agents? Well, that was D-Man gave him that costume. He just happened to have it ready. He had it made, actually, because he's got a guy, which, being a former wrestler, would make sense. Though his wrestling gear was always just a shirt. Over these issues, the four of them are a makeshift team, and they actually have a really good dynamic. D-Man knows his place as the rookie of the team. He stays in line and follows orders while staying out of the way. None of that annoying rookie stuff where he trips up Cap or bad guys get away. He's cautious and he knows his place. It's really great. It's refreshing. They see some action against the Serpent Society and some escapees from the Vault prison. The actual Titania outclasses D-Man and throws him off of a cliff. And later on, he's actually afraid to have a rematch with her and allows her to escape. He does not tell the others about this. I really like how he's portrayed here as the realistic rookie, you know? He's fanboying out the whole time about getting to fight alongside Captain America, but he's also not getting a full head of himself. He's making confident, competent decisions, and he's really proving himself to be Captain America's partner. Most of the time. He gets poisoned and captured. Another thing I like is that despite being the strong man of the group, he's not portrayed as dumb. Because, you know, a lot of times oh, the big dumb guy, oh, break the wall down. No, he's intelligent. He's got his own mind. He can make decisions. Nomad's girlfriend Vagabond and Diamondback join the group and they become known as Stars and Stripes, mostly just taking on the Serpent Society. But D-Man remains in custody for a few issues, and then when they give up questioning him, they let him go. So he goes off in search of Captain America, and he ends up on Hydro Base, which was like the aquatic headquarters for the Avengers at the time in the 80s. An island, really. The Avengers had disbanded, and Captain America was actually there looking to reform the Avengers. And then it happens. He makes D-Man his first recruit as an Avenger, though it does feel more like a suggestion than an official thing, but for the rest of history, D-Man is considered an Avenger because of this. Before it can be made official and the new recruits can be recruited, they do go on a mission to take on Ultimatum. And I gotta say, I'm actually really liking D-Man here. He is pretty Boy Scout with a sense of right and wrong. In fact, he actually dies trying to save the life of bad guy in an explosion, and yeah, he dies in this issue. D-Man dies. He blows up over the icy water on an aircraft, just like Bucky. So D-Man never quite reaches his true potential as an Avenger or as Cap's partner. Instead, Captain America goes on and forms the new Avengers with Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh.
If Gilgamesh is your favorite Avenger, leave a like.
3.5 years later, Captain America thinks D-Man might be frozen in ice up in the north, but he actually ends up freeing a demon ice worm and fights him alongside Jack Frost. But we, the readers, see that D-Man is indeed frozen in ice. And in Captain America issue number 400 in the B story, we see some Inuit folk ice fishing, and among them is a big dude with red hair. He seems to have no memory, but when a jet flies overhead, it triggers something in his memories, and he walks for 3 days until he's back at the Ultimatum base that he exploded over so long ago. He kicks in the door and just walks and then stands there doing nothing. He's taken hostage, and Flag Smasher demands that Captain America comes down if he wants to see D-Man alive. But Captain America's in space at the time, so the Falcon and US Agent have to go. They are successful in their mission and they bring D-Man home, but two things are made very clear. He is completely gone mentally, and he smells. From here, he basically gets 1 page per issue while Captain America goes off to be Capwolf. And I think for a character like this, I think the broad strokes are pretty good instead of going issue by issue. Let me know what you guys think, because I went issue by issue at the beginning and now I'm just going broad strokes for the rest of it. So here's a good sampler of both worlds. But I mean, I'll do whatever I frickin' want to do, as long as you guys like it. Speaking of like, you should stop right now and hit that like button down below, and then just move your little mouse over, or your finger if you're on your phone, or whatever you're using to control things, and hit subscribe. And then that way you can look at your subscription feed and then see my videos instead of relying on the algorithm, because the algorithm can be a fickle bitch. But no, I would appreciate if you guys subscribe and comment and like and do all that stuff to engage the channel and show people that you like it, and it shares it around and more people watch it, and then, you know, I don't know, I'll be happier if more people watch. That's it. It's my happiness lying in the balance of you subscribing or not. Like, if you are not subscribed and you just don't want me to be happy. Ooh. We're talking about D-Man? Yeah, we were talking about D-Man. D-Man is still there physically, but mentally he is out of it. Jarvis is the one taking care of him and taking him for walks. On one such walk, he leaves Dementia Man with Captain America's old girlfriend, Bernie Rosenthal, and she gets mugged, and D-Man does nothing. I thought maybe D-Man was gonna, snap back, but no, D-Man does nothing. She runs off after the muggers, while D-Man gets attacked by his evil doppelganger from Infinity War. Seemingly left for dead at the bottom of Central Park Lake, D-Man actually falls into a cavern and finds himself in an underground homeless camp where bums beat him up. The homeless people call themselves the Night People, and the place they live they call Zero Town. Fuck, I love comic books. D-Man is held captive for a little while, and then with the help of a little boy, he breaks out and overthrows the corrupt government of Zero Town. He stays down there as their new leader and protector. He pops up 2 more times in some very minor roles. The last of which, Captain America asks for his help on a mission, but D-Man replies, "Sorry, Steve. I'm a night person now, and my people need me." And honestly, that right there could be a very fitting end for the character. He couldn't quite find his place as a wrestler, couldn't quite get his footing as a hero. He's found these people that, he has purpose now. He's found his purpose in protecting the Night People. Good place to end the character. It was a good run over 10 years by 2 different writers. This would be the end of Mark Gruenwald's tenure with D-Man, but 3 years after Onslaught, when the heroes returned, a new team of Avengers would be assembled. And it was one of those, every Avenger who's ever been an Avenger, come on. And at the time, it was only 39 or so. So not as impressive. But this is where D-Man went full homeless. Kurt Busiek and George Perez show D-Man as a messy, smelly bum. Because down in Zero Town, they need water for drinking, not washing. But he is still in charge of his hobo empire. And Morgan Le Fay made everyone go all medieval for a few issues, and D-Man is certainly there. And when the adventure is all done, Jarvis sees him off with a load of groceries. A decent appearance for D-Man, though it does seemingly solidify him as the homeless superhero. Then he popped up in Disassembled, probably. This might be him right here. His next major appearance was in The Pulse. It was a non-Max follow-up to Alias, featuring Jessica Jones by Brian Michael Bendis and Michael Gaydos. And as usual, Bendis does half the homework here and gives us his own spin on D-Man. When Ben Urich is writing an article on him, it seems that D-Man is again fighting crime, but appears to be stealing stuff after he saves the day. He's now full-on homeless here, no Zero Town, no Night People, just D-Man living in the sewer, talking about his mission to collect the Infinity Stones, which is the jewelry he's been stealing. Because if he's homeless, he's also bound to be crazy. This one ends with Daredevil actually taking D-Man in to get some help. After this, he had a few more appearances that either made no sense or were just jokes at his own expense. Until the Avengers Annuals of 2011 and Wonder Man's anti-Avengers team, the Revengers.
Revenges.
Revenges?
But D-Man is kind of hard to pick out in his new dumb costume, and he's just kind of out there saying, "You know me, I'm D-Man, you know me." And when they're all stopped, he just goes back to raving about his Infinity Gems. I'm actually not a big fan of Brian Michael Bendis in general, and this is kind of why. He will take a character that really had a good basis and never quite got his due, and then just take what he knows about him and twist it and just make it a joke, completely destroying the character. Like other writers might take a character like that with the potential and see it through. Bendis is just like, meh. If Mark Gruenwald's run on Captain America was a fun, colorful childhood, then Brubaker's run is the freedom and dark reality that come with growing up. But it's also such a good run, and it involved a D-Man. It seems that after his arrest, the government or whoever got his head on somewhat straight, and then Hydra winter soldiered him, turning him into the new Scourge. Working under Henry Gyrich, Dennis was killing bad guys, and this brainwashing brought him into conflict with Captain America, where he ended up getting shot and killed by Sharon Carter. 4 issues. He was the new Scourge for 4 issues, that's it. But that was enough to get him a Marvel Legend. So next time your friends are saying D-Man doesn't have a Marvel Legend figure, you can say, yeah, he does, he was the Scourge. Which the classic Scourge would have made a way better figure, but... Then, in a Secret Wars tie-in book that I think was a joke, some guy was trying to summon a demon, but he actually summoned a D-Man, so D-Man came back to life and had the best day of his life before an incursion happened and destroyed 2 worlds and all of Secret Wars kicked off. At this point, we're nearly caught up to modern-day continuity, and D-Man still has a couple of major character changes, so let's keep plowing through. His next notable run would be in Sam Wilson Captain America by Nick Spencer. D-Man was part of Falcon Cap's crew. He was the pilot and technician and occasional field partner. It was actually a decent little support role for him, though he didn't do much to really highlight or evolve his character. Though, out of nowhere, they do reveal that he has a boyfriend. Now, I've just read 70-some issues featuring D-Man, and nothing there said he was gay, but also nothing inherently ever said he wasn't gay, except for maybe when the lady grapplers showed up in the UCWF and he was like, hey, ladies, let's try to take them for a drink. And that might have just been overcompensating or him still being confused about who he was. Like I said, I was all ready to kind of be upset, like, oh, they made D-Man gay, which is neither here nor there, it's D-Man. But no, it doesn't directly contradict anything. He hasn't spent years being heterosexual. He's never in a relationship with a woman that we saw in the comics, never mentioned it. So, fair game. And it changes nothing about the character. In the middle of this run, Bendis has him show up in Spider-Man in a hospital in the complete wrong costume. You can blame the artist if you want, but I blame Bendis. After that run in Sam Wilson Captain America, he got venomized and then taken over by a poison and then died. But off panel, he came back to life, lost his powers, and his boyfriend broke up with him. So obviously, he went on an adventure with Lockjaw where the two of them would fight a nihilist to save Lockjaw's little brother, who D-Man then adopts. That's comic books. He was at the Thing's bachelor party, and then he assisted Hawkeye while wearing the wrong costume, and then we come to RavenCoFT, which is a decent little series written by the criminally underrated Frank Thierry. We see Dennis Dunphy is now the head guard at the RavenCoFT Institute for the Criminally Insane, until he gets stabbed with a shiv by Mr. Hyde, and then apparently gets turned into a vampire off panel. Now, if I had $1 for every Marvel superhero that lost their powers and then got turned into a vampire, I'd have $2 because that happened to Jubilee. Though, D-Man never really shows any signs of vampirism, and the vampire leader dude is just like, I cured him, I healed him. But it was alluded to that he would bite him and turn him into a vampire to heal him. But like I said, nothing ever showed that. Although if you read like Wikipedia entries and everything like that, they're like, oh, he's got these powers, standard vampire powers. He's probably got, you know, an aversion to sunlight because he's a vampire. Nothing ever confirmed him as a vampire. I read this issue. I read every issue. Not a vampire. Because even if he was intended to be a vampire, his next appearances don't mention him being a vampire, and he's out in the daylight. Speaking of his next appearances, they would be exclusively online in the Marvel Unlimited app Infinite series, where he is running a teen group called Super Trans, a support group for trans kids with superpowers. It's 2024. We can have stuff like this. Don't have to read it. I wouldn't have read it had I not been reading everything related to D-Man. Once again, it's not in your face. Like I said, you gotta go out of your way to find these comics. It's not like... That's it, I don't read many modern comics, so maybe it is. But, you know, it's not like you're picking up Avengers, looking for stories about Captain America, and you get D-Man in a flowery dress, hanging out with trans people, shoving it down our throats. Comic books are for everybody. Everybody should be able to enjoy them. D-Man's a really great character. I think he was really good in The Thing. He's really good in Captain America. He kind of got mishandled and fumbled for a while there with the whole homeless thing, which, again, could have been a great thing, but just the way people handled it didn't quite go off as well as it could have. But history goes down. He's an Avenger. His supporting role with the Falcon was really awesome. The whole thing that gets me is, like, he just lost his powers. They never said why or explained it or anything. Why did he have to lose his powers? It didn't really do anything for his character. Nothing was like, oh, I lost my powers and I gotta try to prove I'm strong enough without them. Like, no, he was still punching people. He was still taking names. Losing his powers really was nothing. So why do it? Making him gay? That's fine. Having him run a support group? I think that actually makes sense. With that he is gay, so he does have something to relate to these trans kids. And it's the fact that he kind of does want to be in that support role, that mentorship role. He never quite found his footing as a hero, so he doesn't want to be on the front lines, but he's more than willing to step up when the occasion calls for it. That said, like, I learned quite a bit about D-Man here. I hope you guys did too. I want that D-Man Marvel Legend action figure, but like in his bigger, bulker 80s look, but with the price of these things these days, I probably won't buy it if they put one out. Anyway, I've been Haussmann Comics, and I want you guys to stay Hossy. 3 years after Onslaught, when the heroes returned,